Lessons from history that we have all learned. The advisements that I feel like the ancestors have given us on this week. The tenacity to go on. We just left Camden, New Jersey, where we did a ceremony to honor the marker, the port where enslaved individuals entered the colony of New Jersey. And I think we will be forever changed. But I wonder if those changes would have happened if we had ever had the opportunity to truly, truly know what would we do if there were other lessons in history that allowed us to know what we could learn from our history. Lessons in history. I'm sorry, I just got a message that there is no audio on the live feed, so I just want to make sure that that is corrected and that they know that. So I don't know if I want to pause for a second to make sure that there's audio on the live feed. Okay, I just wanted to make sure before I commenced any further. So if our history could give us lessons, if we could allow those that have come before us to teach us some things, how would we behave differently? How would their experience in history be able to speak to us? How would, by acknowledging and learning of them, would we be forever changed, and would we move on this earth differently? In conclusion, for the Amistad Summer Curriculum course, we will be taking a journey, Herstory in 12 bars, back into history, where we understand and we will learn from the 12 specific experiences of African American womanhood. Why herstory? Because we understand that so often history is taught from certain perspectives. And the African American woman has a unique experience on these shores. And her lessons are ones that we can all grow and learn from. In 1963, Margaret Burroughs, who becomes the founder of the DeSable Museum in Chicago, wrote a poem called "What Shall I Tell My Children Who Are Black?" It's about the mothers of the 1960s that want their children to learn about who they are in all their glory, but is concerned about the messages that the world has given them and how it will change the trajectory of their experiences, their understandings, their ways of being. I'm going to read you a few stanzas as we set this up. What shall I tell my children who are black of what it means to be a captive in this dark skin? What shall I tell my dear one, fruit of my womb, of how beautiful they are when everywhere they turn, they are faced with abhorrences of everything that is black. Villains are black, with black hearts. A black cow gives no milk. A black hen lays no eggs. Bad news comes bordered in black. Black is seen as evil, and evil is black, and devil's food is black. What shall I tell my dear ones raised in a world, a place where white has been made to represent all that is good and pure and fine and decent, where clouds are white and dolls and heaven surely as white place with angels, robed in white, and cotton candy and ice cream and milk and ruffled Sunday dresses and dream houses and long slick Cadillacs, the kind we all want, and angel food cake is white, all white. What shall I say, therefore, when my child comes home in tears because the playmate has called him black, big-lipped, flat-nosed, or any of the other things? What will he think when I dry his tears and whispers, yes, that is true, you are black, but you are altogether beautiful, my dear. How shall I lift up his head and get him to square back his shoulders, look his adversaries in the eyes, confident in the knowledge of his worth and of his blackness, serene in his sable skin, and proud of his own beauty? What can I do to give him strength where he may come through life's adversaries, when a whole human being in this world, unwarped of any bias laws and inhuman practices, that he might survive? And survive he must. For who knows, perhaps this beautiful black child of mine bears the genius to discover the cure for cancer, or to chart the course for exploration of the universe. So he must survive for the good of all humanity. He must and will survive, because I have drunk deeply of late of the foundation of my black culture, sat on the knee and learned from Mother Africa, discovered the truth of my heritage, and truth so often obscured and omitted, that I find I have much to say to my black children. You are altogether beautiful, and you are black, and I want you to embrace it. Those are lessons, and now ours. Herstory in 12 bars, because a lyrical poem is a love poem. Thank you.
I was made in the lowest parts of the earth before time began. Let me help you understand just who I am. Created in the image of God, soft and tender, my gender is sometimes associated with being unappreciated, humiliated, degraded. However, I am persuaded that even though my skin may be black as lead, and the hardships of society have tried to shave me dead, I am sharp, never dull. Sketch my name, it reads beautiful. Woman of influential excellence, past, present, and future tense, my ancestors and descendants have given me the right to say some have paved the way so others could see the light. Shone upon this corruptive society while I speak, you listen silently. I have something to say, no way will I leave quietly. My name may not be Beyonce, but child, destiny lives inside of me. So with my caring, sensitive, nurturing nature merely makes you know how gorgeously great you are, looking at a woman who has been through some struggles and could only look up to heaven when I was faced with trouble, but no need to focus on the details. Situations in my life have spun out of control like a train that has been derailed. But I am standing on a solid rock, and with my voice, I've made a choice to give your ears and minds all I got. I am focused, I have faith, and I don't care how long it takes, I'll wait till this world stops to appreciate the beautiful presence of a Black woman.
What if a Black girl knew her quest for reclamation provided an arc of wisdom? The song of Mother Africa. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
What if a Black girl knew that she would be desired by others only if she desired herself? That beauty is not a shade but a mindset, and the best indicator of it is self-confidence. As I talk some sense, insert here confidence. What if a Black girl knew that her lips were plump and beautiful, that she does not need to hold them in, make them thin, does not need to rely on Kylie Jenner to make her lips an attainable thing? What if a Black girl knew that there is no such thing as a perfect nose, because the nose isn't meant to be perfect, it's meant to help you breathe. And if you can breathe, Black girl, you've succeeded. So what if a Black girl knew that to be ratchet is a culture defined by the Black goddesses whose weave could be any color and whose speech could be any kind of cross from slang to misplaced grammar? Such creativity, so what does it matter? Miley Cyrus does not need to twerk to generate praise for our culture. But what if a Black girl knew not to be bitter, that her father, like her sons, were raised by black hands, and you see in your father what you eventually see in your man. For the molding of your father came from similar hands. So if bitter is the sculptor, then how sweet can be the man? If bitter is the black girl, then how sweet can be our clan? What if a black girl knew that her rubies were hidden in the sand? What if a black girl knew that her hair too was like finely refined wool, and not a fiber of her hair was the opposite of cool, but it reflects on the outside, the struggle on the inside, where natural meets the straightness that we take to our hatred for ourselves that we project upon each other. But what if a black girl knew that history recorded her as the most sought after, that her bosoms were like raindrops that wouldn't dry after, that her body was a magnet to worldwide wonder, and the jealousy was so great that it polluted the perception of a black girl until 1,000 years later? Now what if a black girl knew that she was that same creature that drove slave masters from wicked hate right down to love by the curves in her figure? 8, but that figure, $8 billion figures in the bank account of that Coke bottle corporation launched by the shape of that same figure. 8. Figure out, black girl, figure out. The figures match. The years of social degrading deliver to the black girl's demise. Check your figures, media ratings. 1,000 Caucasians on the red carpet, only 2 black girls make the cut. And they wonder why we can't grow. Let me guess, because there are more dark girls than Lupita Nyong'o. But what if a black girl knew that life is what you make of it, and opportunities are what you take from it, and there will be no female black president if no black girl wants to become it? What if a black girl knew not to be victim, not to be Pacquiao, but to be Floyd, because this Mayweather leaves sun rays on our lawn? What if a black girl stopped waiting for the defeat to spring from our flaws? What if a black girl knew that she would no longer take the abusive relationship between her and the media, but decided to make wedding bands between her and her mirror? What if a black girl knew that change is possible and greatness is personal, and though it is black girls at the bottom of the social totem pole, pressure makes diamonds, so it's time, black girls, to make your diamonds glow? What if a black girl knew? 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 Knew.
What if a black girl knew? Her rhythms span the globe. The song of Nzinga. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
What if a black girl knew Her theft brought forth the diaspora, the song of the ship logs. What if she knew Herstory? What if she knew her story?
What if a black girl knew her babies would birth a nation through the pains of her many labors? The Song of Angela. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
I've got a body dark and strong. I was young but for long. You took me to bed, a little girl, left me in a woman's world. I've got a babe, but shall I keep him? 'Twill come the day when I'll be weeping. But how can I love him any less? This little babe upon my breast. You can take my body, you can take my bones, you can take my blood, but not my soul. You can take my body, you can take my bones, you can take my blood, but not my soul.
What if a black girl knew her existence was priceless and could never be sold? The Song of the Auction Block. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
This poem is called The Slave Auction. It was written by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, a black lady poet writing in the 1850s. This was after she had seen an auction. The sale began. Young girls were there, defenseless in their wretchedness, whose stifled sobs and deep despair revealed the anguish of their breast. And women stood with streaming eyes and saw their dearest children sold. Unheeded rose their bitter cries as tyrants bartered them for gold. And men whose sole crime was their hue, the impress of their maker's hand, and small and trembling children too were gathered in that mournful band. And women, with their love and truth, for those in sable forms do dwell, gazed on the lovers of their youth with anguish none may paint nor tell. You who have laid your loves to rest and wept above that lifeless clay, know not the anguish of the breast whose loves are rudely torn away. The sale began.
What if a black girl knew? If a black girl knew that her patriotism would be stitched into democracy? The Song of Grace Wisher. What if she knew her story? Her story.
What if a black girl knew, even when pushed to the bottom, she, in fact, was leading from behind? The song of the bricklayers. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people.
What if a black girl knew that her strange fruit would produce seeds harvesting revolution in time, the song of the red record? What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
The Lynching by Claude McKay. His spirit as smoke ascended to high heaven. His father, by the cruelest way of pain, had bidden him to his bosom once again. The awful sin remained still unforgiven. All night a bright and solitary star, perchance the one that ever guided him, yet gave him up at last to fate's wild whim, hung pitifully over the swinging charm. Day dawned, and soon the mixed crowds came to view, the ghastly body swaying in the sun. The women thronged to look, but never a one showed sorrow in her eyes of steely blue. And little lads, lynchers that were to be, danced round the dreadful thing in fiendish glee.
Of the gallant South.
Are you?
The Lynching
Are you?
by Claude McKay.
Them big bulging eyes
His spirit as smoke ascended to high
and the
heaven.
twisted
His
mouth.
father, by the cruelest way of pain, had bidden him to his bosom once again.
Of
Magnolia,
magnolia,
still unforgiven.
clean and fresh.
All night a bright and solitary star, perchance the one that ever guided him. yet
Then
gave
the
him
sudden
up
smell
to fate's wild whim,
Strange things did happen.
hung
of
pitifully over the swinging charm.
We met at midnight.
Day dawned, and soon the mixed crowds came to view,
Are you?
ghastly ghostly body swaying in the sun.
Coming to the tree.
The women throng to
I
look,
told you to run.
and never a one
Rose
showed sorrow in her eyes of steel
strange
blue.
things that happen here, no stranger
And little lads,
would
lynchers that were to be,
Rain together for the wind to suck,
coming to the tree. Burn
for
out
the sun to rot,
strange things that happen here, no stranger would
for the
Are you coming to the tree? I told you to run, so we'd both be free. Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be. Every night at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say we were free. Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be. At midnight in the hanging tree.
7 feet. Barren, strange fruit.
What if a black girl knew? Her prayers would become the substance of things hoped for. The song of Jarena Lee. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
I sing I am happy. Oh yes, I sing because I know that I'm free. Yes, I'm free. Oh God eyes, yes, is on the sparrow every day, and that's why I know God is watching over you and me, you and me. You know, friend, God is so real. To saints and sinners, if you stop to think about how He let the rain fall on the good and the bad, and He blesses those that don't know Him. God is watching, yes, over you and me, over you and
What if a black girl knew her indignation would be the spark to ignite raging fires of protest? The song of the revolutionaries. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
The name of this tune is Mississippi Goddamn. And I mean every word of it. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest. And everybody knows about Mississippi Goddamn. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest, and everybody knows about Mississippi. Goddamn! Can't you see it? Can't you feel it? It's all in the air. I can't stand the pressure much longer. Somebody say a prayer. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest, and everybody knows about Mississippi. Goddamn! Lord have mercy on this land of mine.
What if a black girl knew when and where she entered? She would shatter glass and pull up her own chair. The song of Crystal Bird Fawcett. What if she knew her story? What if she knew her story?
What if a black girl knew we are because she was the story of us all. What if a black girl knew her story? What if she knew her story?
I don't need you to love me. I don't need you to love. I've got my sister. I can feel her now. She may not be here, but she's still mine, I know. She still loves me. Got my children, I can't hold them now. They may not be here, but they still mine, I hope. They know I still love them. Got my house, it still keep the cold out. Got my chair when my body can't hold out. Got my hands doing good like they
What if a black girl knew she was, is, and will make her story? Simply by living, and we all need to know her story. What if we knew her story? Her story.
Because we are free women, born of free women, who are born of free women. Back as far as time begins, we celebrate your freedom. Because we are wise women, born of wise women, who are born of wise women. We celebrate your wisdom. Because we are strong women, born of strong women, who are born of strong women. We celebrate your strength. Because we are magical women, born of magical women, who are born of magical women. We celebrate your magic. My sisters, we are gathered here to speak your names. We are here because we are your daughters as surely as if you had conceived us, nurtured us, carried us in your wombs, and then sent us out into the world to make our mark and see what we see and be what we be, but better, truer, deeper. Because of the shining example of your own incandescent lives. We are here to speak your names because we have enough sense to know that we did not spring full blown from the forehead of Ra or arrive on the scene like Topsy, our sister once removed, who somehow just growed. We know that we are walking in the footprints made deep by the confident strides of women who parted the air before them like the forces of nature that they are. We are here to speak your names because you taught us that the search is always for the truth, and that when people show us who they are, we should believe them. We are here because you taught us that sister speak can continue to be our native tongue, no matter how many languages we learn as we move about as citizens of the world and of the ever-evolving universe. We are here to speak your names because of the way you made for us, because of the prayers you prayed for us. We are the ones you conjured up, hoping we would have strength enough and discipline enough and talent enough and nerve enough to step into the light when it turned our direction and just smile a while. We are the ones you hope would make you proud because of all our hard work makes all of yours part of something better, truer, deeper, something that lights the way ahead like a lamp unto our feet, as steady as the unforgettable beat of our collective hearts. What if a black girl knew? What if a black girl knew her story? What if a black girl knew her story? Speak their names. Speak their names.
12 acts, 12 women, 12 periods of history, 12 lessons, 12 places where we need to speak their names, 12 lessons that they have taught us. I hope that we will remember what we need to know. I would like to tell you some of the stories that might be the names that were recited that often we didn't know. Nzinga Modebi, born in 1534, queen located in present-day Angola, fought off the Portuguese because she refused to allow her people to be captured and enslaved in Elmira Castle. The song of the ship holds over the period of the Atlantic slave trade from approximately 1526 through 1867. More than 12.5 million enslaved men, women, and children were shipped from the coast of Africa, and we can only approximate 10.7 arriving somewhere in the Americas. That is only those that were chronicled and sold. We cannot account for those that did not make it in the slave coffles as they crossed the vast African terrain. We cannot account for those that died while awaiting a ship. We cannot account for those that died at sea. We cannot account for those that committed suicide. And yet we still have a number of 12.5. The song of the shiplocks. And yet her babies would birth a nation through the pains of her labor. The song of Angela, one of the 350 enslaved Angolans aboard the San Juan Batista as it sailed from Luanda in 1619, bound for Veracruz, Mexico. They endured months-long journey chained and packed together in a dark, musty hold of the ship, sitting amid cargo of filth, sickness, and death. Only 207 survived the Atlantic crossing. That ship, of course, was seized by two English privateers, the White Lion and the Treasurer, who took the healthiest 55 to 60 and split them between them to sell. And they were the landing of the first 20 and odd in August of 1619 in Point Comfort, Virginia. Angela was aboard the Treasurer and arrived a few days later, a few by herself. They were among those that had been sold multiple times on the Treasurer. And although we know very few details about her life, her country, and her origin, we know that she is recorded in the record as the only member of a plantation home along the Chesapeake and St. James River with a child, the birth of her labors. We need to know that our value is priceless, can never be sold. The song of the auction block. Oprah made famous a painting called The Highest Bidder. It was a mother and child to be sold on the auction block. The domestic slave trade, known as the Second Middle Passage, and the interregional slave trade was the term used in the trading of enslaved peoples within the United States and relocated across the United States during the antebellum period. It is the most significant movement of peoples across the Americas in the 19th century. More than 2 million enslaved people were moved and sold and auctioned daily in almost every city and town across the South in a forced migration from the Upper South, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, and DC, to all the newly acquired states in the Deep South and the Western Territories. Grace Wisher, the story that we're most interested in when we were discussing it, that her patriotism would be stitched into democracy. Grace Wisher was a 10-year-old young African-American girl in the city of Baltimore, whose mother was forced to have her under an indentured contract in the home of Mary Pickersgill, a famed flag maker who was credited and solicited to make the flag that was upon Fort McHenry during the War of 1812. The same flag that was stitched by Grace was the same one that Francis Scott Key wrote his song looking at. Grace's work, 10 years old, indentured, under duress, and she made that flag. Lifting as we climb. Ida B. Wells, the National Association of Colored Women, the songs of the brickmakers, the women that stood at the change of the century and declared their womanhood, their scholarship, their service, their society, their patriotism, their work, and built this nation, who are oftentimes not accredited with the ways in which they integrated themselves into American society. They were the bricklayers for a lot of the things to come, and they were at the crossroads of the 20th century. The women's club movement, their theme that they were lifting as they climb. Strange Fruit, song of the Red Record. Ida B. Wells used her mighty sword of her pen to write into her newspaper and make sure that the newspaper covered every account of public lynching across the South. She called it her Red Record. And of course, the poem by Claude McKay and the song that's so famous by Billie Holiday, one that we learned about in the film, was so politically charged and was so emotionally moving that the entire United States government came down on her head to prevent her from singing it. The song of the Red Record. On Inauguration Day in 2021, most of us championed, or a lot of us championed, the election of Vice President Kamala Harris. And yet, she gave patronage to the women that were elected and paved the way and pulled up a chair so that they could have a stake in governing our nation. The song of Crystal Bird Fawcett, the first African-American female to ever be elected in the United States. She was elected to the state of Pennsylvania in 1938, born in 1894 in Princess Anne, Maryland. She was a former school teacher that felt that she needed to do more. Oh, we can't forget the songs of the revolutionaries, those women that engaged in the work, civil rights movement, that allowed their outrage to come forth, that allowed their voices to be heard, who protested like Angela and wrote like Nikki, and made sure that our struggles would not go unheard. Their righteous indignation changed the trajectory of that movement. And then their prayers, the song of Jarena Lee, the first African Methodist Episcopal minister, African-American woman born right here in New Jersey, lived in Lawnside, travailed New Jersey's countryside as a minister by herself, helping to build church by church, the AME church. Her prayers were the faith and the substance that was hoped for. And look at how that has built the investment in our spiritual life across America. They are because we were. We stand on their shoulders. Their lessons must be learned, and we honor them today. Just like all the other lessons that we have learned this week, I hope that these women, these portraits, these lessons will also become enshrined and a part of the way in which you teach these narratives across New Jersey's classrooms. My shirt says, Black history is American history. That is the point and the premise of the Amistad Commission, and that is the work that we have invested in over the course of this week. There is no way in the world that we can even begin to end this program without hearing and seeing the creative team behind this beautiful, beautiful work that I am so very proud of. I'd like to bring to the stage the choreographer, the creativeness behind it all, Sonia James Pennington, the dancer, Fola Walker, our muse, and our brilliant filmmaker, Taquan Allen. I don't know where Fola is, so we're getting herself together. Fola, where are you? Trying to come to the back? Here she comes. We watched her transform through 400 plus spaces of history in the course of the last 50 minutes. I am spellbound at how this came together. So I want to invite them to be able to speak to you all about the nature of the project, what it was like, maybe how it's transformed them, and what they have learned themselves by being able to learn lessons from the griots and the stories that we recounted today. So I guess we'll start with our wonderful, creative choreographer, Sonia James Pennington.
I guess we can have a seat. Firstly, just thank you so much for coming out. This was a super, just amazing experience, unlike any other project I have ever worked on. And I've been doing this a long time, but I think this definitely, by far, surpassed anything I could imagine. Just because I know that it is a gift to be able to tell the stories that are a part of who I am as a Black woman, and came from somewhere deep inside that I didn't even know existed, but they were brought forth and birthed. So I am just overwhelmed by the project, how it evolved. This actually has been on my heart, as well as in conjunction with Stephanie, to be a stage play. But just like everything else over the last 18 months because of COVID, it made a right. But I think in that something beautiful really happened. One, we actually did it and put life into something that has been in our hearts and our minds. And two, I think it forced a process of learning and connecting on and offset that is life-changing for me. Firstly, I have to just say, Fola and I have known each other, oh my gosh, I want to say 30-something years. No, you're not even 30 yet. All right, so 25 years? Close to that, 25 years. I've known Fola since she was a little girl, and I've had the pleasure of being her teacher, her friend, and her mentor. And when I tell you that I have always known that Fola is gifted, but after this project, I know that she is anointed, appointed, and so very special. She took what was in our hearts and our minds, and she just took it to another level. Those tears were real. Mm-hmm. Every time we moved to a different piece, she literally transformed in front of our eyes. Stephanie was an amazing griot on set. She talked Fola through every experience and took it to a totally different level. She definitely channeled our ancestors. And then we were gifted with Taquan, whose eye behind the camera is just brilliant. And when we asked him to take on the project, honestly, I didn't know what you could do, but it far surpassed anything that I could have imagined. And I am grateful and I am humble, and I thank God that he put us all together in the same space. And honestly, you took what we filmed and brought it to life in a way that I could never have imagined. You are truly gifted. It was just an emotional roller coaster. We left here sometimes full of emotion watching and just knowing that the connection between all of us, as well as all of those that came before us was made, and that these stories were meant to happen, and they were meant to happen through our voice and our hearts and our vision and our spirit. So this is definitely a passion project. We know it's just the beginning. As I watched, I know it's going to evolve into the stage play that's on my heart. Because there is such a brilliance when you watch Fola live as well as on the screen. But Fola live, that's the last piece she did, we were all in tears. We were silenced and we were brought to utter silence. So that's the next step. I'm gonna pass the mic. I did a lot of talking. I'm gonna give it to Fola. Just talk about your experience. What did you get? I don't know.
Hi, guys.
And the direction that I got from Sonia, we were all connected. I couldn't have did that without any of them. Without any of them. Just as much as she poured her emotion out, I had to capture that and see that and feel that. We had to take so many breaks. The ancestors was definitely in this room with us, like, just here. And for me, in my life, I was just thankful that this was my first project, featured film project, and now it set the tone for the rest of them. Just like Malcolm X went to Sam Cooke, went to Muhammad Ali, and Jim Brown, he taught them with their platforms how important it was to put the right message out there. And being a part of this project really just showed me so much of what that message, when you put that right message, when it's given to you, that education, you see how strong you are. You ask that question, what if a black girl knew? Then you ask the question, what if a black man knows? What if the black community knows? This allowed me to see the conditioning that we're in. And the only way that we're going to get through is to educate ourselves. I came on here, and the first thing that I told Stephanie, I said, I'm definitely not educated the way I need to be, so teach me. And she did that beyond. And I'm just so thankful for the lessons that I got, because now I see the opportunities that we have as black people to grow. Just by seeing this story, and I appreciate my black woman so much more, and I have to make sure that I'm doing my job by them. So to have this project in my hands, I was not letting them down.
The history needed to be taught, and it was my pleasure to be able to be in the room and to tell the stories. Stories that we need to know, stories our children need to know, stories that can be taught from a multitude of different platforms. Someone is ringing somewhere. These platforms are not always in textbook. You can see that they're being told in different mediums. And so the passion of this, the reality of this, is allowing us to be able to see how on a different platform, through the arts, through dance, for history, through poetry, through speeches, through the ability for us to even think about what those lessons would be, through object, we can teach. And we need the world to understand. And we've made a space for us by this project. I was asked if there would be any room for you all to ask any questions. And so I am going to allow any questions that the audience might have of the creative team or anything about the history or any of the things. I'm not sure, and we'll make sure that you can see it in film, how clearly you could see even some of the quotations and the adages that we made sure that were there to layer and to center the work for each one of the quotes. But it was multiples of layers, from the voices of our ancestors, of the writers, of our political scientists, of our historians, of those that have come before us, to be able to really make sure that those lessons were taught. So is there anyone that has any questions? And we will make sure that the mic gets to anyone if they have any. I really can't see any regards of hands, Trevor.
Steph, can I just say one thing I also wanted to point out? The women speaking, what if a black girl knew?
Oh, yes, can we do that?
I think some are in here. One
They
of them
are.
definitely is a
There's a few
Tamara.
of them.
And
So
I saw my Aunt Jeanette, but I just wanted to share that it was really important for us to also include women here on this earth that have impacted us and have continued the legacy and the story, because that's what it really was, that we are a result of their lives. And it doesn't have to necessarily be someone that is found in a history book, but the presence of the women in our circle that raised us, that poured into us, that were examples for us, will therefore transfer into us, and that's what's making us to be able to be legacy builders. So we wanted to pay homage to them as well, to be a part of this project. We had my mom, we had my Aunt Jeanette, we had my Aunt Carol, we had my Aunt Ruby, and we had so many other women, as well as our god sister and our cousin Alicia, who did both the beginning and the end. The original first poem was an original piece that Alicia wrote herself. And if I can tell you, we just said to her, we need something. And she walked in with this poem that she had written almost 3 or 4 years prior to coming. And it was a perfect fit, and we knew that could only be God. So we just want to say thank you so much, and I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that as well.
12 women, 12 age groups, 12 examples, 12 lessons, and no one said no. No one said no. They stepped forward, and each one of them came and they represented who they were. I think we have about 4 or 5 of them that are in the room today. I know I saw Angela Brown. Latoya Bailey is back there. I know Jeanette Bland is here. Our mother, Sandra Carter James, is here. I don't know who else is here. I want to make sure that we acknowledge all of them. Madison Burgess, who did it. Latoya Coley, who did it. Cameron Harrell, who did it. Deborah Johnson, who did it. I'm trying to think. Paula Bethea, who did it. Some of you might recognize her. She's a principal in Trenton, New Jersey. Did I miss anybody? I think we may have acknowledged everyone, but a few of them are here, and we want to say thank you for adding credence to it. Each one of them just stepped into it, and without even knowing what had happened before or after, just gave such life to this work and really spoke to it. So we wanted to make sure that they are a part of this, because they did definitively layer it in a way that is just so beautiful and magical. Oh, Miriam Abdul-Salam, Jacqueline Nisbet, how can I forget my Jackie? I think that's all 12 we've acknowledged, yes. So thank you for all of your work. Thank you for being willing. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for teaching us some lessons. And thank you for allowing them to be codified forever. We appreciate you. So are there any questions for us? I can't see.
I was curious, to produce this takes a lot of discipline. You can hear my voice, that should be sufficient. How many hours from execution to planning and so forth would any of you say, so that we can appreciate, we see it, but I have a feeling we need to also know the labor of love that you produced?
I can't even count, but I can tell you that we started writing in December. We started filming, we started rehearsing in January. Out of the 12 pieces, only 2 of those pieces were already pre-choreographed. So we choreographed a lot of times through Zoom because of COVID. Choreographed on the spot. Some of the pieces were actually choreographed right before we filmed. Hours upon days. I can't even tell you the amount of hours taken for after we filmed and editing. And then once the project was done, and then the back and forth of content, quotes, the whole process was from December to last week. But the hours, I'd say thousands. I don't even know. I'd wake up thinking about the project. Yeah, I think close to that. I don't know. Yeah, 21 days or so. I don't remember. Yeah. A very long time. Thank you.
your hand. Oh, there you go. I'm looking at
It's a twofold question. One, Sonia, as a choreographer, what did you need to bring out of yourself and share with Fola to get the vision that you had? And for Fola, what did you need to do as a performer to prepare yourself for the roles that you had?
As a choreographer, my process is very interesting. I really do not know where it comes from. The music triggers it, and with this, it was the music and the stories. And the movements just came, and that's usually how it works for me. It's almost as if I have to make the lyrics become real, and that's how I move. So the emotion, the words, the verse, it all dictates what the movement should feel and look like. It's just transforming all of those thoughts and emotions is pretty much the basis of how I choreograph generally, but definitely in this piece. And just knowing Fola and how many years we have been invested in each other, she's incredible. I just can't even explain. As a choreographer, she's a gift. Because what I am feeling,
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say that to get into character, I'm just kind of very empathetic. So like, if you tell me a story, I'm in it. Like if you tell me something that happened to you yesterday, I'm like, oh no, it happened to me. So I guess just also knowing and like appreciating the Black women in my life, like knowing some of the struggles that they've gone through, knowing how they've persisted, and being around to absorb their energy, like I guess taking from my experiences, and then listening to Stephanie tell me the story of these women is what I needed to get into it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's vague, but yeah.
question.
I don't think anything else that you all want to add that I did not specifically ask. This is just the beginning. I know that there's going to go through many edits, but I think this labor of love, as a closing, we do have another question. Did I see another question? Yeah, Jane.
The only question I have is this going to travel to like churches, schools, if requested, and how would we get in touch with you to perform?
Please. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a story to be told, and we are grateful to be able to do it. And we think I know that I think it touches people in different ways to hear stories, to see the stories. And the most unique thing, I think, is that not one word was spoken by Fola, but you knew the story and you could understand and feel it in a way probably you never had. So, yes, absolutely. We do have information. She disseminates it, but we would love to the stage play.
I am requesting the honor to work along with you as the team. Premiere this, however you phrase it. And I'd like to take a moment of training this week to thank Stephanie and your team, your creative team, for the entire week of training this year, culminating with this. I know we probably would say this to you later when we got back to Trenton, but I wanted in the context of this to make that statement, hopefully on behalf of everybody.
Divine. And a long time ago, the ancestors, I used to think they were sleeping at the base of my bed. James Pennington come and sleep with me because I was afraid until I started reading. And their stories are here. And so anytime that I get to tell their stories, anytime that they get to come forward, because I don't know if I'm a historian, I don't know if I'm a teacher, but I know that I have been told that I need to be the voice of my ancestors. And I know that this moment in to you all, and I am charging you to do what needs to be done for the children of this state with those stories. We've made room for them. We have made even more room for them this week. So go forth and his story and her story in 12 bars as a lyrical poem with a single dancer. Good night.